We got a few other people who are ready to give a speech, so I'm going to ask, I'm just going to grab people right off the top of my head. Alan Moran, would you be interested in coming up next? So if you'd like to come up and tell us a bit about your views now. Alan is an economist. Coming up if you like. Yep, coming through.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Well, you know, welcome everybody to what it really is, the resistance. This is the beginning of the resistance to the institutional capture which we've seen in Australia from parliamentarians, from CSIRO, ABC, etc. All of these people are basically hitting at and promoting politically correct positions which are destroying the nation, destroying the nation's wealth. Amongst these, of course, is the Wentworth group of what the so-called concerned scientists, led by Flannery, who's been put in sequentially into major positions by different governments, organising the whole of the environment so that it basically dictates the nation's wealth and capital expenditure. You know, only this week, 13 years ago, I think it was 13 years ago, that Flannery said the rains that fall will never fill the rivers, we will never build the dams, we will have to build desalination plants. Well, with $20 billion later of desalination plants, only one of those is now operating, and that isn't even necessary. Flannery, of course, was also instrumental in getting the government to support his own company doing, which is going to get energy out of hot rocks. And we the taxpayers spent hundreds of millions of dollars supporting this, and it of course went bankrupt as all these things do. Only this week, or last week, we saw evidence of the way the institutions have been corrupted by these forms, with a judge, not only a judge, but the head of the Environment Court in New South Wales, who banned coal mining because it's going to create global warming. I mean, this is our major export, and it's now going to be banned, not by some insignificant judge, but by the head of the Environment Court in New South Wales. And this man, of course, he objects to the CO2 being emitted, but if you read his CV, he's travelled all over the world, first class, of course, to Ghana, to Sierra Leone, to Switzerland, New Zealand, Thailand, the whole gamut of countries, delivering the same faint-hearted speech telling us all that we ought to desist using carbon dioxide. Well, the answer is if we did do that, we all know that it will lead us into the greatest impoverishment that the nation has known. And indeed, his own formula would lead us back into some sort of pre-idyllic existence which existed before the Industrial Revolution, raised everyone's living standards to those which would be able to afford people like him. So, let me just say, this is a terrific that so many people could come out here and support this movement, because it is so important for us to actually make a stand and to let everyone know that the politically correct establishment figures who have wrested control over this country cannot do so with impunity into the future. And it's great that we see us mimicking here the French resistance, which is taken off like wildfire, as the Senator just said, taken off like wildfire from nowhere, simply because people were fed up of being told by elitists that they have to do things which are costing them money and indeed costing them jobs. So good luck to everyone, and I hope this does germinate even further dissatisfaction amongst those of us who are opposed to this rule of the elites. And let's continue on to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Well done, mate. I'll let you get through there, mate. Good on you. Thank you very much, Dr. Alan Moran. Now, that was fantastic. It's good to get a good perspective and some of the economic wastages of money that have happened in the name of globalisation and in climate issues and things like that he's mentioned. That's very good.